Welcome aboard. Stay tuned and subscribe to Han Li's Wuxia Adventures for more thrilling content. Chapter 1985. Speaking of which, Lu Yin wasn't sure if he should thank this elder green apricot. This person was an emissary with two tribulations, but because of Bai Xiaohong she obeyed Yu Chen. Lu Yin had been assassinated by the boundless realm in the astral tree, and it seemed that this person had helped Yu Chen. Logically speaking, Lu Yin had a grudge against this person, but the memories that had just entered his mind shocked him. This elder green apricot was actually from the Hidden Earth Society. That's right, Earth's Hidden Earth Society. Lu Yin had once entered an assassin's body to hunt down someone called Lei Wu. That person had threatened him with the Hidden Earth Society, saying that even if the assassin hid in Dragon Mountain, he still wouldn't be able to escape the Hidden Earth Society's pursuit. The Hidden Earth Society didn't have much influence on the Fifth Mainland, but in the Astral Tree, it seemed to be quite influential. This was because the Hidden Earth Society's members could enter the Astral Tree through Jupiter. In the Astral Tree, the people of the Fifth Mainland were all stowaways, and if they were discovered, they wouldn't have a good ending. Thus, the Hidden Earth Society was very united, and it was also because Earth's cultivators had a high chance of awakening an innate gift. In a place like the Astral Tree where cultivation was highly developed, cultivators with good innate gifts could easily make a name for themselves. Gradually, as time passed, the Hidden Earth Society gained a considerable number of experts in the Astral Tree. These people communicated through the Hidden Earth Society's unique methods, forming a powerful organization hidden in the dark. Lu Yin had thought that Lei Wu was bragging, that even hiding in Dragon Mountain wouldn't be able to escape the Hidden Earth Society's pursuit. How was that possible? However, through Elder Green Apricot's memories, Lu Yin understood the Hidden Earth Society's influence. Dragon Mountain also had people from the Hidden Earth Society, the Four Cardinal Scales, the Central Plane, the Humble School, and the Root Organization all had people from the Hidden Earth Society. Earthlings had entered the Astral Tree through Jupiter, and their opportunities varied. They had joined various factions, but because of the Hidden Earth Society's connections, they were a force that couldn't be ignored. They couldn't make a name for themselves on the Fifth Mainland, but they thrived in the Astral Tree. They understood the Astral Tree's attitude towards the Fifth Mainland stowaways, and each of them hid themselves better than anyone else. Even Elder Green Apricot, an emissary of the Cold Immortal Sect, didn't know the Hidden Earth Society's identities. He had never thought that there would be a day where he would be able to borrow the Hidden Earth's power. Speaking of which, why was there such a high chance that Earth's cultivators were born with innate gifts? There were so many primeval surnames on Earth. What did the Primeval Surname Alliance have to do with the Starry Sky Tree? He had forgotten all about it. Yu Feng's guards were originally meant to protect Yu Feng. If all of them are dragged to the battlefield, what will happen to Yu Feng? Lu Xiaoge's voice sounded. Lu Yin looked over. Yu Chen's gaze was serene. The young master is already dead. Jade Peak doesn't need to exist anymore. With that, she turned and left. Lu Xiaoge watched Yu Chen leave, then looked at Elder Qing Sheng. He narrowed his eyes and said, "Keep an eye on her. She's too smart. Perhaps she's already noticed our presence." Elder Green Apricot was shocked. "She knows?" Lu Xiaoge replied in a low voice, "I'm not sure, but she's on guard against me. Either she knows where we are, or it's because of Elder Shizi." He believed that there were people who knew how to be grateful, but there was nothing wrong with considering the worst possible outcome. The Fifth Mainland's current rule is that all of the best equipment is provided to the Starfall Sea. Once the everlasting race invades, they'll be the first line of defense and the first to die. I know about your agreement with the Aurora Fort. Just treat it as a purchase from the Hall of Honor. Lu Yin sighed. All right. Elder Chan nodded. Thank you. The current Lu Yin was worthy of a single word of thanks. However, the best use of microarrays is on the new universal armor. Lu Xinjun has been practicing with the new universal armor for several months, and even if the new armor is given to the Starfall Sea, they won't be able to use it. How about this? I'll have Banjio send a game that uses the new universal armor to the Starfall Sea so that they can familiarize themselves with it for a few months. During that time, the new universal armor will be left in the fifth tower. What do you think? Lu Yin asked. He needed to buy time, and a few months should be enough. The Astral Tree would not wait that long. Elder Chan did not understand Lu Yin's intentions. Was there any point in leaving the armor for a few months? If you insist, then sure. Elder Chan could only agree. He had already felt that he had let Lu Yin down by making such a request, but such a small request was insignificant. The everlasting race would not be able to invade for a few months, and even if they did, they would not be able to do anything about it. The new universal armor was only suitable for cultivators below the Enlighter realm, and it would not be easy for the everlasting race to adapt to it. Moreover, even if the new armor was added, it would not be enough to reverse the situation against the everlasting race. It would just be accumulating a lot. Elder Chan was right. Regardless of whether it was the 5th mainland or the 6th mainland, they had to give the best equipment and medicine to the Starfall Sea first. This was a rule. But why? Because the Hall of Honor had many experts? Even if they had many experts, where had they come from when the hall was first established? Even if they had many experts, how could they compare to the strength of other half-martial ancestors? Ever since Lu Yin had stepped onto the path of cultivation, he had always had a question. What right did the Hall of Honor have to dominate the 5th mainland? As time passed, this question had been suppressed at the bottom of his heart, as if he had gotten used to it. Today, however, Anai Huang was the first to know the answer. It was Elder Chan. The moment Elder Chan appeared, Anai Huang's domain that had gradually permeated the heavens quickly dissipated. She was stunned and looked at Elder Chan in shock. How could this be? Wang Si also sensed this and she stared at Elder Chan in shock. This person gave her a terrifying feeling, and he was similar to the Myriad Dao ancestor. He was someone who was on par with the Myriad Dao ancestor and Anai Huang. Xia Ji and the rest were not surprised. This was Elder Chan's true strength, the strength of the Hall of Honor's master. It was precisely because there were differences in strength between half-martial ancestors that Elder Chan had been able to rely on his own strength to suppress the other half-martial ancestors and establish the Hall of Honor to control the 5th mainland. Elder Chan was also a powerhouse who was infinitely close to the progenitor realm. If not for the fact that the 6th mainland had replaced the realm of heaven, he might have broken through long ago. Now, however, he was restrained by the 5th mainland and did not dare to break through. He was afraid that failure would lead to a great change in the human domain. Once a person had something to worry about, they would no longer be able to remain alone in the world. When breaking through, there would be a flaw in their heart. White Dragon Tribe, Elder Anai Huang? Elder Chan asked as he calmly looked over. Elder Anai Huang looked at Elder Chan in shock. You are. Elder Chan smiled faintly. We've met once before. I remember you, but you might not remember me. I'd like to hear more, Elder Anai Huang said solemnly. Welcome aboard. Stay tuned and subscribe to Han Li's Wuxia Adventures for more thrilling content. Chapter 1998. It was obvious that Elder Chan and the other half-ancestors cared about the humans. Even with the threat of a civil war, they were unable to make them give up. This was Lu Shaoxian, one of the 7 heroes. His name had spread throughout the astral tree domain, and he was an absolute genius. Even though he had lost his memories and been thrown into the wasteland, he had still been able to protect himself. Even Elder Anai Huang, who had seen countless geniuses, was impressed by Lu Xiaoshuan's achievements. If not for the Lu family, this person would have become a symbol of the human race. Strangely, he recalled Long Quan's words before he died, and he hoped that what he had said was true. Wang Si shouted, "Tell us where Lu Xiaoxian is. We don't need you to give up. We'll catch him ourselves. It has nothing to do with you." Elder Chan looked deeply at Elder Anai Huang. I'm willing to do everything in my power to make Lu Yin forget his hatred for the 4 cardinal scales. Is this condition feasible? No. Wang Si immediately objected and glared at Elder Chan. Lu Xiaoxian was stripped of his innate gift and memories, and he was left in the wasteland. However, he still managed to climb back up and become a leader among his peers. Someone like him cannot be suppressed. He must be eliminated. Elder Chan's tone was low. I don't want to see a civil war between the humans, but I also don't want to see you capture Lu Yin. So we can't come to an agreement. Wang Si's tone was low and filled with disdain and arrogance. The drunkard looked at Wang Si. You look very ugly. Wang Si was stunned. The heavenly master, Elder Chan, and the rest were stunned and looked at the drunkard strangely. The drunkard had always acted as if he had drunk too much. Although he was drunk, he did not speak much. However, his words shocked everyone. Even Elder Anai Huang was shocked. Wang Si was stunned at first, but then she became furious. What did you say? You're courting death. The drunkard was about to attack, but Elder Anai Huang stopped him. She stared coldly at the drunkard. You're a half-ancestor, yet you speak so rudely. You're an insult to your status. The drunkard took a swig of wine. I'm just speaking the truth. I don't lie. This was the first time Elder Anai Huang had met a half-ancestor, and she did not know how to respond. Don't lie? No one had asked you if she was ugly, so why did you suddenly say that? Wang Xi's eyes flamed. Old man, you're courting death. The drunkard looked at her calmly. The more I look at you, the uglier you become. You didn't look like this when you were young, did you? Wang Xi's eyes widened as she attacked furiously. This time, Grand Elder Anai Huang did not stop her. She also stared coldly at the drunkard. This was too much. Elder Chan walked out and stopped Wang Xi. I want to know why you're here. Wang Xi roared, his eyes filled with madness. Scram. I'm going to kill that old bastard. Elder Chan frowned. He drank too much. He's drunk. Wang Xi roared, Scram, you bunch of trash from the wasteland. Elder Chan's face darkened. Great Elder Anai Huang's expression changed as well, and she pulled Wang Xi back. What nonsense are you spouting? Elder Chan's gaze turned cold. It seems that this is how you view us. No wonder you call this place a wasteland. Great Elder Anai Huang hurriedly replied, the Lu clan calls this place abandoned land. It has nothing to do with us. Drunkard sneered. She keeps talking about the Lu clan. The Lu clan abandoned the fifth mainland, and the Lu clan called this place a wasteland. The Lu clan is no more, yet that ugly woman is still saying that this is the Lu clan's problem? What are you talking about? You're protecting the humans, but the Eternals outside the Starfall Sea are about to invade, and yet you're only targeting Lu Shaoxian. Anai Huang and the others naturally sensed the changes in the fifth mainland, but they did not understand what was happening. When cultivators cultivated, they absorbed star energy, and when they broke through to become an emissary, they absorbed astral source. This was common knowledge. The astral source universe was like the sky to cultivators, but now, that sky had suddenly collapsed. This was different from when the sixth mainland had changed its sky. No matter what the sixth mainland did, it could not do anything to the astral source universe. But at this moment Anai Huang and the others sensed that something was amiss. The astral source universe was actually boiling and being drawn in. This was just the beginning. The technocracy was very far away from where the liquid had appeared, and only Anai Huang and the other half-ancestors sensed it. The other emissaries did not. But an hour later, a liquid appeared in the western weave of the outerverse and started devouring astral source. Next, liquid appeared in the innerverse chaos flow zone to the north. Another liquid appeared in the cosmic sea. Liquid appeared in the technocracy, and it was not far from where Anai Huang and the others were. They hurried over to check it out. Liquid appeared in the astral wilderness. Liquid appeared everywhere in the fifth mainland, and it covered the entire universe as it absorbed astral source. Even the emissaries could sense it, let alone the half-ancestors. What is that? The speed at which it absorbs astral source is comparable to a progenitor's. Xiao was shocked. Anai Huang's expression turned ugly as she tried to absorb the astral source, but none entered her body. All of it had been absorbed by the liquid. She also tried to attack the liquid, but it was useless. Her attacks did not cause any damage to the liquid. Try absorbing the astral source. Wang Xi and the others immediately tried. It's no use. We can't snatch it away. Thank you. Your beauty no longer belongs to me. Thanks to the brothers of Rainy Night Vision for their support. Thanks for your support, brothers. However, with the construction of the fifth pagoda, this island had become a material transfer center. In just a few months, it had become extremely prosperous. All the major businesses had set up branches here, and there was even an auction house. Everyone on the island saw the light at the end of the tunnel. They were sure that the future would be beautiful. However, when pairs of scarlet vertical eyes appeared, that beautiful feeling was destroyed and torn apart. What replaced it was a blood-red sky. There was a large world on this island that was home to countless corpse kings from the Neo-Human Alliance. There were many such large worlds on the fifth mainland. Even though the seven heavenly gods had been destroyed, the Hall of Honor had joined forces with the major powers of the fifth mainland. They had suppressed the Neo-Human Alliance and caused them to suffer heavy losses. Bai Wuxian had no choice but to take action, which led to the astral beast domain invading the human domain. However, the Neo-Human Alliance's true foundation was these great worlds. Countless corpse kings appeared and charged towards the fifth pagoda. They were led by several corpse kings with power levels in the hundreds of thousands, and they all punched at the fifth pagoda. Lu Yi appeared and blocked the fifth pagoda. Lu Yi looked into the distance and was stunned. Where did so many corpse kings come from? Be careful, it's very difficult to absorb the astral source, Fei Hua warned. Lu Yi sighed. This is going to be difficult. We can't replenish the astral source. This is the first time we've encountered such a situation. Be careful. Fei Hua nodded. An arrow was shot into the distance by brute force. His arrow hit the corpse king without missing, but it only caused the corpse king to pause for a moment. The corpse king casually brushed aside the arrow and continued to charge towards the fifth pagoda. Brute force shouted, "Prepare for battle." This was only the cosmic sea. Corpse kings appeared everywhere in the innerverse and outerverse. A war of unprecedented scale erupted without warning. Before this, no one had expected such a war to break out. The Neo-Human Alliance had remained hidden for many years. Although they were extremely dangerous, they had never directly clashed with the human domain. Now they had finally made their move. The endless corpse kings were like a dark cloud that covered the entire human domain. In the astral beast domain, in the celestial beast empire, a woman requested an audience with the emperor. "XNU, what is it?" the emperor asked gently. The woman's name was XNU, and although she looked young, she was actually from the same generation as Su Qin. She had the power of an emissary with a power level of 600,000, and she was a human who had joined the astral beast domain. "Greetings, Your Majesty. Are you aware of the upheaval in the human domain?" XNU asked respectfully. The emperor frowned. "I know, but I don't know how the Eternals did it. They're actually devouring astral sources." His voice was calm, but he could not hide his worry. The disappearance of one imprint represented the death of a cultivator, and spacecraft continued to explode. Technology was not very useful in this sort of war, and the explosion of a spacecraft meant that many people had died. In the starry sky, corpses piled up like an ocean. A gray dot pierced through the sky. This was Shigu's final attack. It pierced through an emissary corpse king's body, but it was still unable to kill it. The corpse king stepped forward, grabbed Shigu's body and exerted force. Shigu screamed as the expeditionary army cultivators rushed over, but they were still unable to save him. Without his astral chi, he was like a child against the corpse king, and his body was torn in half. Young Master Qing's eyes flickered. His face was deathly pale. He did not want to die here, not because he was afraid of death, but because it was not worth it. He had cultivated for so many years, but if he died here because he did not have his astral chi, it would not be worth it. The two-headed centipede screamed as its body was torn apart by the corpse king. Young Master Qing gritted his teeth and turned to leave. He could not die here. He wanted to leave, but the corpse king had no intention of letting him go. Its gray eyes changed once again, and this time it turned green. Its physical strength increased tenfold, and its speed increased at the same time. In the blink of an eye, it had arrived in front of young Master Qing. Young Master Qing was shocked when he saw the green eyes in front of him vanish. The next moment, his abdomen was pierced through, and his head shattered as his corpse floated into the air. The corpse king did not hesitate to find its next target. After the corpse king left, young Master Qing's head recovered. It was the life-extending butterfly that had died in his place. Fortunately, the corpse king had not destroyed the astral chi vortex on his shoulder, so he still had the ability to escape. He had to escape from this battlefield. Just as he stood up, his head fell off again. An unknown slash had appeared out of nowhere and pierced through the astral universe. Whether it was cultivators, corpse kings, or stars, they were all cut down. Young Master Qing was no exception. Even though the life-extending butterfly had given him an extra life, young Master Qing had still died on this battlefield. This was only the tip of the iceberg, and countless lives had been lost. Emissaries from the 5th and 6th mainlands were dying at every moment, constantly depleting the human strength. Meanwhile, the corpse kings were still endless. At the border of the technocracy, Lu Yin and the rest retreated under Old White Host's protection. Up ahead, Old White Ghost was fighting 2 demi-ancestor corpse kings by himself. This was Lu Yin's first time seeing demi-ancestor corpse kings outside of the 7 sky gods and the 12 marquises. Just how many experts did the Eternals have? Old White Ghost could not withstand the attacks of 2 demi-ancestor corpse kings at all. However, he had run into the 12 marquises, and the more he fought, the more exhausted he became. Anai Huang was up against the green bamboo Marquis Wang Si, and the High Sage Heavenly Master. As time passed, Elder Chan and the others would only be at a disadvantage. They would not be able to replenish their stellar sources. Not only the half-martial ancestor battlefield, but the countless mechanical ants and corpse kings were also gradually being suppressed. In just a few days, the outcome of the battle outside the Fallen Star Sea was almost obvious. A few days later, Lu Yin also learned that the Xang Kong corridor had been destroyed, and that the Eternals were determined to obtain the fifth mainland. How good would it be if the symbol ancestor's strength reappeared, Ling Qiu muttered to herself. The Lingling clan's spirit seal flow zone was located in the western part of the central region of the Innerverse. When the Starsource universe had been devoured, the spirit ancestor had decisively decided to bring the Lingling clan to the eastern flow zone to seek refuge. The more he understood the Eternals, the more he realized how terrifying they were. Sword the Celestial Sect and the other factions could rely on their location to replenish their stellar sources and weren't afraid of an attack from the Eternals, but they couldn't. If human cultivators lost their stellar sources, they would lose their ability to fight. When Lu Yin heard Ling Qiu's words, his heart skipped a beat. When the sixth mainland had invaded, the symbol ancestor's strength had restricted all cultivators to the Enlighter realm. Although the sixth mainland still had a huge advantage in terms of Enlighters, the gap between the two sides had been greatly reduced. If the symbol ancestor's strength reappeared, then it would indeed be good news for the humans. However, Lu Yin felt that it was unlikely, as the symbol ancestor's strength could not reappear infinitely. At the end of that battle, the symbol ancestor's strength had been constantly shrinking. Lu Yin's guess was correct, as the symbol ancestor's strength had not reappeared. However, a force that was expected yet unexpected had appeared, the materialization of the mind web. Back when Wang Si, Old Whitehead, and Kue Luo had appeared in the technocracy's dimensional battlefield, the half-martial ancestor's strength had been too great, which had caused the mind web to appear in the technocracy and trap everyone. At that time, Lu Yin had already guessed the truth about the technocracy. Now, the mind web had not only extended to the technocracy, but it had also extended to the entire fifth mainland. It quickly covered the entire Fallen Star Sea battlefield, and then it continued to spread to the east. Elder Chan and the rest looked up at the mind web, their faces filled with confusion. Facing Elder Chan was a sword-wielding man with a gloomy expression. He looked rather old and his clothes were tattered and filled with jagged tears. It was a very strange sight. This person was one of the 12 Marquises, and even Elder Chan was helpless against him. The power that came from there. Interesting. Welcome aboard. Stay tuned and subscribe to Han Li's Wuxia Adventures for more thrilling content. Chapter 2018. Lu Yin looked at Elder Chan. Senior, you overestimate them. The stupidity of the four-way scales is beyond your imagination. If they weren't stupid, then they wouldn't have dug their own graves and instigated a civil war between humans to benefit the Eternals. To be honest, I even suspect that many of them are redbacks. Remnant of the Lu clan, you're too impudent, Wang Si said coldly. And I Huang looked at Lu Yin. Why did someone from my White Dragon tribe appear in the first place? This was the first time that Ni Huang had seen Lu Yin in person. Back in the Cosmic Tree realm, a huge battle had broken out the moment Lu Yin's identity had been exposed, and Ni Huang had never had the chance to speak to Lu Yin. Lu Yin looked at Ni Huang. Coincidence. Great Elder Ni Huang had a complicated look in her eyes. I really hoped that you were from the White Dragon clan. Unfortunately, you failed to live up to my expectations. You used and deceived the White Dragon clan. If your White Dragon tribe hadn't used the White Dragon tribe to make a comeback, my Lu family wouldn't have been exiled. You and I will always be enemies. Well said, Ni Huang shouted as she looked at Lu Yin. You and I will always be enemies. Even if we survive this calamity in the wasteland, we will still be enemies. Nonsense, Lu Yin replied coldly. Ni Huang clenched her fists. There were very few people who dared to speak to her in such a manner. Even Wang Si and the others, who were also half-martial ancestors, did not dare to be so impudent. Old Whitehost's eyes were cold. Little bastard, you killed the young ancestor of the Frigid Immortal sect and provoked the Frigid Immortal sect. I won't let this matter rest. Lu Yin narrowed his eyes and stared at Old White Ghost. I'll add one more thing. In the future I'll destroy your Frigid Immortal sect. You can tell those words to me. Old Ghost Bai was furious. Xiada was helpless. These half-martial ancestors were very formidable in battle, but how could they win against a junior with a glib tongue? Moreover, this kid still had the most detestable Kue Luo, who hadn't spoken yet. Lu Shaoxin, you know that the Xang Kong corridor was destroyed, right? Xiada asked. Lu Yin raised his head. Yes. Now that we're all on the same side, we can only work together to fight against the Eternals. Release the expeditionary army, they're also a force to be reckoned with, Xiada said. And Huang and the rest stared at Lu Yin. Lu Yin nodded. You're right. Alright, I agree. Xiada was surprised. So easy? Even Elder Chan was shocked as he was beginning to understand Lu Yin more and more. Although Lu Yin had the greater good of the human race in his heart, he still could not shake off his own selfish schemes. The construction of the fifth tower and the creation of the Aurora Stronghold's universal armor that contained microarray technology were probably all part of the plan to deal with the Cosmic Tree Expedition Army. Although Elder Zen did not know how Lu Yin had found out about the Cosmic Tree Expedition Army in advance, he was increasingly certain that Lu Yin would never allow himself to be taken advantage of. Agreeing to release the Starry Sky Expedition Army so easily was unlike him. Sure, but only on the battlefield, Lu Yin said. And Huang frowned. What do you mean? Lu Yin replied, if I release them now, who knows if you'll go into hiding or find another way to escape back to the astral trees. You said that we'll work together to fight against the everlasting tribe, so that's not a problem. I'll release them on the battlefield where we're fighting against the everlasting tribe, and we'll all work together. Bullshit. Xiada couldn't help but curse. If you left them in a desperate situation, wouldn't they be dead for sure? Lu Xiaoxian, you're too evil. That Qingping who snuck into the Cosmic Tree realm and single-handedly suppressed the geniuses of his generation and stole the origin item? And Huang was shocked. I remember now. He was the only one who succeeded in the Sovereign Realm's fight for the origin item. Everyone else was defeated, including the son of the Lu family. The head judge remained silent. Elder Chan replied, that's right, it's him. He's now infinitely close to becoming a half-ancestor, but his true cultivation is enough to challenge a half-ancestor. He fought with the Forgotten Ruins deity before, and he also fought the ancient god and the others at the Realm Mountain. Old White Ghost no longer questioned the head judge. No one knew more about how terrifying the Lu family was than them. Back in the Sovereign Realm, Qingping had not only defeated the son of the Lu family, but also all the other geniuses of his generation. At that time, it wasn't just the four cardinal scales, the Lu family, and the Nong family that had been present. We finished talking about the pillar. Let's continue. Senior Anai Huang, please tell us about our opponents, Elder Chan said. Anai Huang looked deeply at Qingping and clasped her hands behind her back. The corpse god is holding the entrance to the Starfall Sea, and He Wuxian has disappeared. We'll be facing half-ancestor opponents, and the 7 sky gods and the 12 marquises are the most difficult to deal with. Have you met any of the 7 sky gods? The drunkard gulped down a mouthful of wine. His face was pale and it was obvious that his injuries were not light. I met the ancient god. On the other side, 9 Brilliance said, I met the Forgotten Ruins deity. Xiaji looked at Kuei Luo, who rolled his eyes. Why are you looking at me? Fine, old man. I won't say that you were beaten to tears by the undying deity, alright? Xiaji was furious. Old man, what nonsense are you spouting? Kuei Luo sneered. Am I wrong? You could have stalled for time, but you forced the undying deity to use his ultimate move and almost killed you. If it weren't for me, you would have been finished. Xiaji's expression turned ugly, but he could not refute this. He had witnessed the undying deity's strength, and it was at that moment that he understood what the 7 sky gods were. Anai Huang said, it's already good enough to survive against the 7 sky gods. They are 7 old monsters, and to be honest, I don't know much about them. At most, I can tell you about the 12 marquises. Marquis Wui is trapped, and I met Marquis Green Bamboo. My next opponent is him as well, but I don't know if there are any other 12 marquises besides him. Lan Xian said, we met a marquis. Anai Huang was astonished. You met a marquis? And you survived? The medicine immortal sighed. It was the 3 of us who met him. If we hadn't worked together, we wouldn't have survived. Even so, we were still suppressed. Kuei Luo was speechless. When you met the Celestial Beast Empire's half-ancestor, the 3 of you worked together and almost died. Speaking of which, what did you 3 do? Was it useful? Old Devil Shui frowned and glared at Kuei Luo. Those are the 12 marquises. Kuei Luo laughed strangely. You speak as if you know the 12 marquises. That's enough, Kuei Luo. Shut up. It's disgusting. Wang Si was displeased. Kuei Luo's reputation in the starry sky of trees was too great. Now that he was with Lu Xiaoxian, the more Wang Si looked at him, the more displeased she felt. Kuei Luo was displeased. Old bitch, don't you know how to talk? Don't think that I'm afraid just because you're with old devil Shui. 1 against 2, I've never been afraid of anyone. Wang Si was furious and was about to attack. Old devil Shui stepped forward as well. Kuei Luo, don't talk nonsense. Kuei Luo sneered. What? You dare to do it but don't dare to admit it? Isn't that Wang Yun a child of yours? Xiata was shocked.